Welcome to Gripping Tales. Are you ready for today's video? It starts now.
What if your job required you to let complete strangers into your car in the middle of the night while you're completely alone? Uber and Lyft drivers do this every single day. They pick up people they've never met, drive them to unfamiliar locations, and trust that nothing will go wrong. But for some drivers, that trust has been shattered in the worst possible ways. Tonight, I'm sharing 6 true horror stories from Uber and Lyft drivers who experienced terrifying encounters behind the wheel. From passengers who turned violent without warning, to riders who revealed disturbing intentions, to situations that escalated so quickly, drivers had no time to react. These stories prove that getting into a stranger's car is dangerous, but being the driver might be even worse. Danger. If you've ever wondered what rideshare drivers go through, you're about to find out. Let's start the ride. Do it. On January 26, 2019, just outside of Tempe, Arizona, a 39-year-old woman named Kristina Howato was driving for Lyft. It was late in the evening, the kind of shift when most passengers are coming home from bars or late-night work shifts. Kristina picked up a passenger, 20-year-old Fabian Durazo. The ride seemed routine at first. Durazo got into the back seat. Kristina started driving. The destination wasn't far, maybe 10 or 15 minutes away. Then, without warning, Durazo attacked. He pulled out a knife and began stabbing Kristina repeatedly. She tried to fight back, tried to escape, but the assault was relentless. Durazo stabbed her multiple times, in her torso, her arms, her neck. Kristina was pregnant. Durazo stabbed her unborn child too. The SUV swerved as Kristina struggled. She managed to get the door open and threw herself out of the moving vehicle, collapsing on the pavement. Durazo took control of the SUV and drove away, leaving Kristina bleeding on the side of the road. Passers-by found her and called 911. Paramedics rushed her to the hospital, but it was too late. Kristina Howato died from her injuries. Her unborn child died with her. Police launched a manhunt for Durazo. They tracked the stolen SUV and found him 20 miles from the California border. He was arrested and charged with murder. When authorities investigated, they couldn't find a clear motive. Durazo had no prior connection to Kristina. He hadn't argued with her during the ride. There was no apparent reason for the attack. He just snapped. In an official statement, Lyft said they were shocked and deeply saddened, and that Durazo's account had been permanently deactivated. They promised to cooperate with law enforcement. But for Kristina's family, that wasn't enough. Their daughter was gone. Her baby was gone, and the only explanation they got was that a stranger decided to kill her for no reason at all. Kristina Howato's murder became one of the most high-profile cases, highlighting the dangers rideshare drivers face. She wasn't robbed. She wasn't carjacked for profit. She was simply murdered by a passenger who she trusted to sit behind her while she drove. And Durazo? He's awaiting trial. But no sentence will bring Kristina back. No explanation will make sense of what happened that night. Her family just knows that she picked up the wrong passenger. And it cost her everything. At least Kristina's family got some answers, however senseless they were. But not every attack on a rideshare driver ends with an arrest. Sometimes, the driver survives, and is left wondering what would have happened if they hadn't fought back. This story comes from a former Uber driver, a man who served as a Marine before driving for the rideshare platform. He was a big guy, 250 pounds. Trained in combat, not someone you'd want to mess with. One night, he picked up a passenger who was heading to the airport. The weather was terrible. A downpour, heavy rain pounding the windshield. Visibility almost zero. The driver was going the speed limit, maybe even a bit under, because driving any faster would have been reckless. The passenger didn't care. "Why are you going so slow?" the man demanded from the back seat. "I have a flight to catch. Speed up." The driver stayed calm. "It's pouring rain. I'm not going to risk both our lives by speeding in this weather." The passenger got angrier. "I don't care. You're making me late. Drive faster." The driver refused. The passenger started yelling, cursing, threatening to report him to Uber. The driver ignored it, kept his eyes on the road, focused on getting this guy to the airport safely. Then the passenger spat on him. The driver felt the warm saliva hit the back of his neck, and something inside him snapped. He pulled over on the side of the freeway, put the car in park, and turned around. "Get out," he said, his voice low and controlled. The passenger laughed. "What? No, you're taking me to the airport." "Get out of my car, now." The passenger refused. So the driver got out, walked around to the back seat, opened the door, and physically dragged the man out onto the shoulder of the freeway. The passenger was shouting, threatening to call the police. But the driver didn't care. He walked back to the car, grabbed the passenger's luggage from the trunk, and drove half a mile down the freeway. He pulled over, tossed the luggage onto the side of the road, and left it there. Then he drove to the nearest convenience store and filed an incident report with Uber. The response he got? A generic, canned reply. Drivers should remain professional in stressful situations. No acknowledgement of the assault, no support, no consequences for the passenger who spat on him. Just a vague reminder to stay professional. The driver never heard from Uber again about the incident. The passenger was never banned. For all the driver knows, that same man is still using the app, still treating drivers like garbage, still assaulting people who are just trying to do their job. The driver said he quit shortly after. He couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't deal with the disrespect, the violence, the complete lack of protection from the company he was working for. And he wonders how many other drivers have been attacked, reported it, and got the same meaningless response. How many are still out there, picking up passengers, hoping the next ride won't be the one that gets them killed? Physical violence is one thing, but sometimes the most disturbing passengers aren't the ones who attack you. They're the ones who make you realize, too late, that you've just driven someone with very, very bad intentions to a very, very bad place. A Lyft driver, we'll call him David, picked up a passenger around 2 a.m. on a Friday night. The pickup location was a residential area, not a bar or club, which was unusual for that time of night. A man got into the car. He was dressed in dark clothing, wore a baseball cap pulled low over his face, and kept his hands in his pockets. He didn't say hello, didn't make eye contact, just got in and stared straight ahead. David checked the destination on the app, a hospital about 15 minutes away. "You okay?" David asked, concerned. "Do you need me to hurry? Is this an emergency?" The man shook his head. "No, just drive normal." David started driving. The ride was silent, uncomfortable. The man didn't move, didn't look at his phone, didn't do anything except sit perfectly still and stare out the window. About halfway through the trip, David noticed something in his rearview mirror, the man's hands. They were covered in what looked like dark stains. In the dim light of the car, David couldn't tell for sure, but it looked like blood. David's heart started pounding. He kept driving, trying to stay calm, but his mind was racing. Why was this guy going to the hospital? Was he injured? Was someone else injured? And if so, why wasn't this an emergency? They arrived at the hospital. The man got out without a word, walked toward the emergency room entrance, and disappeared inside again. David sat in his car for a moment, shaking. He looked at the back seat. No blood, no visible mess. But he couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. He called the police and explained what he'd seen. Officers took his statement and said they'd look into it, but David never heard back. 2 days later, David saw a news report. A woman had been found dead in her home, stabbed multiple times. The time of death was estimated to be around 1:45 a.m. The same night David picked up that passenger. The location of the victim's home? Less than 3 blocks from where David had picked the man up. David called the police again, gave them all the information he had, the pickup location, the time, the description of the passenger. Detectives contacted him, took his statement, and investigated. But the man was never identified. Uber and Lyft don't require drivers to verify passenger identities beyond a name and phone number. The account used to request David's ride had been created with fake information, untraceable. David quit driving after that. He said he couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't pick up passengers in the middle of the night without wondering if they'd just committed a crime, if they were fleeing a scene, if he was unwittingly helping a murderer escape. And he wonders, how many other drivers have unknowingly transported criminals? How many rideshare rides have been getaway cars? The answer, he suspects, is more than anyone wants to admit. Sometimes you know something's wrong the moment the passenger gets in your car, their behavior, their energy, the way they look at you. But by the time you realize the danger you're in, it's already too late to do anything about it. This story comes from a female Lyft driver, we'll call her Sarah, who picked up a male passenger late one evening in a suburban area outside of Denver. The ride was supposed to be simple: pick him up from a friend's house, drop him off at his apartment 10 minutes away, easy money. But from the moment he got into the car, something felt off. He sat in the front seat without asking. He kept staring at Sarah, not just glancing, but staring, studying her face, her hands, her body. He asked personal questions. Are you married? Do you have kids? Where do you live? Sarah gave vague answers, uncomfortable but trying to stay professional. She just wanted to get this ride over with. When they arrived at his apartment, he didn't get out. "Thanks for the ride," Sarah said, hoping he'd take the hint. He smiled. "You're really pretty." Sarah's stomach dropped. "Okay, well, have a good night." He still didn't move. "Do you want to come inside? Have a drink?" "No, I'm working. You need to get out of my car." He laughed. "Come on, just for a little bit." Sarah's voice got firmer. "Get out of my car, now!" The man's smile faded. He stared at her for a long, uncomfortable moment. Then he opened the door, got out, and walked toward his apartment building. Sarah watched him go inside, then immediately drove away. She ended the ride, gave him 1 star, and reported his behavior to Lyft. She thought it was over, but 2 days later, she got a ride request. When she accepted it and saw the pickup location, her blood went cold. It was the same apartment building, the same address. She immediately canceled the ride and blocked the passenger. But the requests kept coming, different accounts, different names, but always the same pickup location. He was creating fake accounts to request her specifically. Sarah contacted Lyft support. They told her they couldn't do anything unless the passenger violated their terms of service during an active ride. The fact that he was creating fake accounts to try to match with her again wasn't enough. Sarah stopped driving at night. Then she stopped driving in that area entirely. Eventually, she quit Lyft altogether. She said the worst part wasn't even the harassment. It was the realization that Lyft didn't care. She'd reported the passenger. She'd told them she felt unsafe. And their response was essentially, "Sorry, nothing we can do." Sarah never found out who the man was or how he kept creating accounts that matched with her. She just knows that somewhere out there, he's probably still using rideshare apps. Still making female drivers uncomfortable. Still trying to lure them into situations they don't want to be in. And Lyft? They're still taking their cut of every ride. At least Sarah got out safely, but not every driver is so lucky. Sometimes, passengers don't just make you uncomfortable, they actively try to harm you, and when you're trapped in a car with them, there's nowhere to run. On June 1st, 2018, an Uber driver in Denver picked up a passenger around 2:45 a.m. The ride seemed normal at first, just another late-night fare, probably someone coming home from a bar. But about halfway through the trip, an argument started. The exact details of what caused it are unclear. Police reports and witness statements conflict on this point. What's clear is that the situation escalated quickly. The passenger pulled out a gun. The driver, a man named Michael Hancock, was armed as well. He had a Ruger State Route 4 semi-automatic pistol tucked in his waistband, legally carried under Colorado law. What happened next depends on who you ask. Hancock claimed self-defense, that the passenger threatened him, pulled a weapon, and he fired in response. Witnesses said they heard shouting, then gunshots. When police arrived, the passenger was dead, shot multiple times. Hancock was standing outside the vehicle, hands up, the gun visible in his waistband. Officers arrested Hancock on site. He was charged with first-degree murder. The case went to trial. Hancock's defense argued that he feared for his life, that the passenger had threatened him, that he had no choice but to shoot. Prosecutors argued that Hancock escalated the situation unnecessarily, that he could have driven away, that lethal force wasn't justified. The jury ultimately convicted Hancock of second-degree murder. He was sentenced to 16 years in prison. But the case raised disturbing questions about rideshare driver safety. Should drivers be allowed to carry weapons? Are they independent contractors or employees? And does that affect their legal protections? What happens when a routine ride turns deadly in seconds? Uber distanced themselves from the incident immediately. They pointed to their terms of service. Drivers are independent contractors, not employees. What Hancock did wasn't Uber's responsibility. They cooperated with the investigation, but made it clear they weren't liable. Other drivers saw the case differently. They saw a man who felt threatened, defended himself, and got sent to prison for it. They saw a company that abandoned one of their drivers the moment things got messy. And they realized, if something goes wrong on a ride, you're on your own. Uber and Lyft won't protect you. They won't defend you. They'll cut you loose and move on. Hancock's case became a rallying point for rideshare driver safety advocates. They argued for better protections, better screening of passengers, better support when drivers report threats or violence. But as of today, little has changed. Drivers are still independent contractors. They still pick up strangers in the middle of the night. They still face threats, violence, and danger with little support from the companies they work for. And Michael Hancock is still in prison, serving 16 years for a decision he made in a split second while driving for Uber. Violence, stalking, murder, these are the extreme cases. But sometimes, the horror of being a rideshare driver isn't about one catastrophic incident. It's about the accumulation of smaller encounters that slowly wear you down until you realize, this job is breaking you. This final story doesn't come from one incident, too. It comes from a driver, we'll call him Marcus, who shared his experience on Reddit after quitting Uber and Lyft for good. Marcus had been driving for 3 years. He'd seen it all. Drunk passengers who vomited in his car. People who had sex in his back seat while he was driving. Passengers who threatened him when he refused to speed or break traffic laws. People who didn't tip, who slammed his doors, who left trash everywhere. But Marcus kept driving. He needed the money. The gig economy was all he had. Then came the night that broke him. Marcus picked up a passenger from a bar at 1 a.m. The guy was drunk. Not stumbling drunk, but enough that Marcus could smell the alcohol from the front seat. The ride was going fine until the passenger asked Marcus to stop at a convenience store. Marcus said sure, no problem. He pulled into the parking lot and waited. The passenger went inside. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Then 15. Marcus texted, "Hey, are you okay in there?" No response. Marcus called. No answer. He got out of the car and went inside the store. The passenger was nowhere to be found. The clerk said a guy matching the description had come in, bought a pack of gum, and left through the back exit. Marcus realized what happened. The guy had ditched, used Marcus's car to get to the store, then left without paying, leaving Marcus to eat the cost of the ride and the time wasted. Marcus reported it to Uber. Their response? "Unfortunately, passengers sometimes cancel rides. We can't compensate you for this." Marcus sat in his car in that parking lot and realized he was done. Done picking up strangers who treated him like garbage. Done working for a company that didn't care about his safety, his time, or his livelihood. Done risking his life every night for passengers who saw him as disposable. He deleted both apps that night, never drove again. In his Reddit post, Marcus wrote, "People don't understand what rideshare drivers go through. We're not just driving you from point A to point B. We're letting complete strangers into our personal vehicles, our property, our space. We're trusting that you won't rob us, assault us, or kill us. And for what? A few bucks an hour after gas and maintenance? It's not worth it." His post went viral. Thousands of current and former drivers commented, sharing their own stories. The assaults. The harassment. The lack of support from Uber and Lyft. The constant fear that the next passenger might be the one who hurts them. Marcus's story isn't unique. It's the reality of rideshare driving, and it's why turnover in the industry is so high. Why so many drivers quit after just a few months. Because at some point, everyone reaches their breaking point, the moment when they realize the job isn't worth the risk. For Marcus, that moment came in a convenience store parking lot at 1:15 a.m. For other drivers, it comes after an assault, a carjacking, or worse. But it always comes. Eventually. These are 6 true horror stories from Uber and Lyft drivers. From a pregnant woman murdered by her passenger, to drivers assaulted and abandoned by the companies they work for, to the constant fear that comes with letting strangers into your car every single night. These stories prove that rideshare driving is one of the most dangerous gig economy jobs in America. According to a 2024 report by the National Council for Occupational Safety and Health, over 80 rideshare drivers have been killed on the job since 2017. Uber's own internal documents show 24,000 alleged assaults and threats of assault against drivers. And those are just the reported cases. Experts believe the real numbers are much higher. Drivers are assaulted, robbed, carjacked, murdered. And when they report these incidents, Uber and Lyft hide behind their classification of drivers as independent contractors, not employees, not their responsibility. If you use Uber or Lyft, here's what you need to understand. The person driving you is taking a risk. They're trusting you not to hurt them. The least you can do is treat them with respect. Don't get in the car drunk and belligerent. Don't make your driver uncomfortable with inappropriate comments or behavior. Don't threaten them. Don't touch them. And for God's sakes, tip them. They're making minimum wage at best, while risking their safety to get you home. And if you're thinking about driving for Uber or Lyft, be careful. Invest in a dash cam. Trust your instincts. If a passenger makes you uncomfortable, cancel the ride. Know that the company won't protect you if something goes wrong. You're on your own out there. To all the rideshare drivers listening, stay safe. Watch your surroundings. Don't be afraid to end rides that feel wrong. Your safety is more important than any fare.
Thanks for watching. Every ending hides the beginning of another tale, and ours is already on its way. Stay tuned, you'll find the next chapter right here, and soon.